Okay, we are back. Dr. NaTasha with the amazing Jacquelyn Hatcher. We have been walking through just some amazing content over the past 5 episodes, and we really encourage you all to take some time, go back through each one. It's in no particular order, so you can start wherever you feel you need in the moment. But today, as we sort of wrap up those 5 episodes, and then we have some exciting things to share on the back end about what we're going to go into in the next 5 episodes. But we first want to just talk about the 3 movements that I feel we've made up until this point. So, number one, we have just walked you through what it means to actually become the woman you were put on this earth to be and why that was so important. We talked about Zoe life, and we'll get into that in a minute. Just living a fulfilled life. We talked about how, especially as high achieving women, we tend to be very hyper independent. But all of us have gotten to, and I'm sure that's why you're listening to this episode today. We've all gotten to this point where we know we need to break our hyper independence if we are going to get the healing that we actually want. And Jackie has walked us through what that means, and what it looks like when we take a look back at our generational influence, our family of origin, and how that has impacted who we are today. But it doesn't mean we have to stay there. It doesn't mean we have to stay even stuck there. She's also walked us through when we decide not to take the next step and really overcome a lot of this, heal from some of this, how it actually does seep into how we approach our leadership, how we approach our teams, our work. And so she's given us a roadmap. And for those of you who are very much like me and Jackie, we love roadmaps, we love a framework. She has given that to you, she has laid that out. And if you are willing, I truly and firmly believe, as a person who has been on the receiving end of this and who has been in session with Jackie, who has walked me through just some real thick mud, I can attest to the fact that if you trust this process that she has walked us through, you will come out on the other side as well. And as she told me multiple times, this is not for those of us who are high achievers, it's not going to happen tomorrow, okay? Because you went to class and you made a good grade. It's not, it's not that at all. This is a process, and it is one of the longest but most rewarding processes that I've walked through in my life. And if I had to go back and do it all over again, and if it took the same amount of time, I would still do it again. So let's hop in to our episode today. Jackie, thank you so much for being with me. We have been through 5 episodes together, and we have recapped this arc before. But I want to hear from you today. When you look back and think back where we started and where we are now, what have you actually taken us through? Because we're not going to find this in a textbook. We're not going to find this probably on any other YouTube video or at a conference. What have you actually walked us through?
Yes. So what we've walked through is the actual discovery of our own identity. And we have practiced having a life.
Mm.
So as high achieving women, people, period, one thing that we must have, especially when in relationship, and that's a life that speaks to who you are and a life that presents to others exactly what you're called here to do.
Love that. Thank you. And I think the fact that unintentionally we went into women of ancient days, women of days of old, who
Mhm.
have walked through a lot of this,
Mhm.
it shows the tried and true of your model and your framework. We talked about, which was my absolute favorite, we talked about Leah. I mean, you talk about a woman who is with a man who she loves, who she is just head over heels for, and he wants nothing to do with her. Which, we encourage you all to go back to that episode, and we'll link that. But, it's not that he just absolutely hated her, but he was deceived in a way. I think you were able to give her back her humanity. You were able to give her husband his humanity. Even though these were very chosen people, it was still some things that even she had to walk through. But in the end, it is not the Cinderella story. In the end, She died with her pain, unfortunately, and she was only able to get that man that she wanted and that she loved, that she felt she deserved. She only was able to get him in death, laying next to her. And what you are saying to us is that there is a life that we have been called to that was designed for us that we can live right now. We don't have to wait until the very end when we're broken down, tired, our hair's turned gray, or you know what? Actually, let me give the gray hair because there's a lot of bad women with some beautiful gray hair. Okay. That beautiful silver hair they are rocking. And now even the young girls are getting those colors. But the point is, we don't have to wait till we're broken and tired to start this process, to have this life. We don't have to assume that, well, this is just what I was called to and meant for. It's just the pain of this life. There is a version of this that we can actually live out to its fullest. Unapologetically. So thank you for giving us that. Um, if a woman heard, back in episode 1 when
Yes.
we were talking through,
Mhm.
but not the others, and
Mhm.
she asks you, what should I listen to first? What should I tune in to first?
Mhm.
Where would you tell her to start? Not necessarily with an episode, but just for today and with everything we've colored or covered, where would you tell her to start first today?
Honestly, I practice this for a long time, sitting with God. And in
Hmm.
my practice of sitting with God in silence, I learned to hear my heartbeat.
Hmm.
That makes sense to you. But in practicing sitting in silence, listening for what's within you, I discovered my own heartbeat. In
Hmm.
discovering my own heartbeat, I've learned what makes me excited. I
Hmm.
learned what pulls energy from me. I've learned the type of people that help me to be excited and the type of people that drag me down, that takes away my emotional energy. In discovering more about who you are and your complete calling, what you love most is your calling, what you desire to do, what you desire to give. I'm an educator. I love to educate people. I love to get information, live it out, and then I'm able to give it back. So, in sitting in silence, you become aware of who you are down to your heartbeat.
Hmm.
When you can hear that, when you become aware of that, then you have something to offer others, the person you're in relationship with or people you're in relationship with, and also those people who are most closest to you or people that are far away that you're helping or sharing or directing. You have something to offer. When we don't bring those things to the table, we have nothing to offer when we haven't discovered our own heartbeats. Who,
Hmm. Hmm. When you say sit in silence, that scares me a little bit
yeah.
because when I have to sit with my own thoughts,
Yeah.
that's give me some more insight into how you do that to make that process less scary, or maybe it does need to be scary in the
Yeah.
beginning. Tell
It,
tell me what that looks like.
it is scary. It's like walking into a room where there's nobody there but you, and
Mm.
you have to have this conversation with yourself, but you're not going to talk. You're only going to listen to what's happening within yourself. So, sitting in silence is about allowing yourself to be aware without speaking to the situation or the circumstance.
Wow.
So,
Wow.
where I began this was to learn to sit in silence with what's happening in me, but not allowing to take over my brain. So, what I don't want to do is allow these conversations to continue to take place in my.
Right.
So that may be sitting in silence, but you're actually singing a song in your head. You're
Mm.
singing, you're hearing verses of scripture. You're thinking through maybe something someone said to you that was powerful, something that was positive, something that brought you clarity. And you're sitting in that thought, one thought.
Mm.
So that silence causes you to pause, which is such a good word,
Mm.
causes you to pause all the other pieces that's happening around you, surrounding you, so you could begin to hear your own emotions behind whatever's happening. If you're singing a song in your head, maybe a song that you heard on Sunday morning,
Right.
and you're practicing those words in your head, You allow those words to take place deeper and you begin to hear your heartbeat on it. It's
Mm,
exciting you or it's scaring you or it's
mm,
making you consider, what do I need to do with this information?
mm,
So that silence, you're not speaking out loud. You're literally just sitting in that position,
mm,
not allowing it to take over, but at the same time, allowing it to take up space enough so you discover something about yourself. Uh,
mm.
Women do not take up that time. So when men practice silence, they enjoy it because we call it their nothing box. They can live in their nothing box sitting beside you.
Right,
We're
right,
uncomfortable with being okay with ourselves, whereby men are quite comfortable in the silence, in the lack of noise, even if there's noise going on in the TV.
right.
All game could be playing, but they're actually not thinking of anything, not
Mm,
even the game. And we struggle with that because we want to know, what are you thinking? What are you feeling? What do you
right.
think about this? And they're looking at us like, please, I
Mm,
don't want to think of any of that. And we think that's a weakness, but it's such a
mm,
strength to be okay in your own thoughts in that moment, even if there's not a thought. The
mm,
silence of discovering who you are, the silence of moving everything out of the way
mm.
and allowing you to be at peace in that moment.
I this part I'm really getting excited about, and of course, my mind immediately goes to Christ when every single time he got up and he got away before the sun
Got
came up,
away.
got up and he got away, got up and he got away. There's something here, and selfishly, I'm gonna touch go in here for my own self, but I know there are many women who are listening.
Mhm.
And we need something very practical. So let's say, and I've had some recent conversations with, whether they're friends or colleagues or even clients, and they've had a very difficult conversation. Someone has said something to them that has just rocked their world and it has messed with their peace. Like they can't sleep right, they can't eat right. Someone just comes in and says, "Hey, how are you?" And I'm fine. Everything is just bothered by them, okay, because of that one comment. So when I sit with my thoughts, Jackie, that's all I can think about is what they said to me. Why would they say that? What did I say? They're being so mean. They've done this before. That's what's running through my mind. So when you say, you know, consider a song, consider a scripture, consider, something positive, it sounds like something fulfilling.
Absolutely.
How do I silence that
Mhm.
or bring that in when this other voice is so loud in my mind? And maybe it's multiple
Your
things. It's a
emotional
friend, it's a
brain,
husband, it's.
your emotional brain will not allow that other voice to stay if
Mm,
you maintain your silence. If you maintain your silence, when you sit in silence, you've got to feel it. You have to be in a place of silence. I have found that women need to be in a place of silence. So I
mm,
practice this early in the mornings. Like if I wake up at 3 o'clock, which I do usually between 3 and 5, I can come out to my living room and I can sit in it with the light from outside coming in through the glass doors, and I can sit there
mm,
and in silence meditate solely on my heartbeat.
mm.
Getting so quiet that you can actually recognize the beat of your heart. So that's the silence. I'm silent.
Right,
And that thing that you're talking about is what started out in my head. She said this to me. What did she mean by that?
right,
What actually happens when I presuppose, when I put something on top of another thing, is that thing will eventually take over that voice.
right.
So as I began to sing a song Safe in His Arms, those
Mm,
words began to overtake the thing that was there. I'm safe in His arms. I'm hearing that in my head. I'm not saying it out loud. I'm hearing that. It eventually takes over that thing that tried to have its way and
right,
be loudest in the moment. The emotional brain will allow it to dissipate in that moment. I
right.
didn't went away, nothing leaves the brain. It's all sitting there. But in that moment, I get to hear those other words. So once those words come over me, I'm safe in his arms.
Mm,
Guess what? A perfect peace will reign. And then what happens is you'll start hearing your heartbeats. You
mm,
can hear the actual heartbeat. Once you get there, then you're able to actually go back and recognize whatever pain that caused you, whatever discomfort was caused by the other thing, because it's not controlling you anymore. Now you are choosing to think about it.
Wow.
You are choosing now. At first, it was taking control. Now you're choosing, okay, now I choose to meditate on the fight that I was disturbed by that. What was
Mm,
happening in me? It's the awareness that we've talked about through each episode.
right.
Becoming aware on what disturbed your inner man. When
Mm,
you become aware of what disturbed it, now you got control of it. You know how to handle it from now on. You know how to face that. What do I need to do different? And you will hear it so clearly. One, and maybe you need to spend more time with this person. You may need to spend more time in prayer. Whatever that is, you will hear it.
mm,
You allow yourself to walk in that.
mm.
That is first and foremost, spending time with yourself in silence, becoming aware of who you are. And we don't do that as women, and men do it frequently.
One thing that you're saying that I think has been the running theme, not only through these episodes, but my life since I came to you, it is making, once you are aware, making a conscious choice. It is intentional. And
Mm.
it is, in my opinion, it's where real freedom lies. Because before I was aware, I didn't have a choice. I
Yes.
was operating by that, that whatever is bothering me, that's what I'm operating by. That is what's turning my head left and right. But you providing us a way of looking at silence as you get your choice back, your autonomy back, your agency back, which
Yes.
is for high achieving women, oldest daughters who are out there, for
Absolutely.
though that is something we don't want to lose. But it's the one thing that I don't think we've realized we have lost
Mm.
because we don't learn, we
Mm.
don't know. Let me say not learn, because this is the first I'm hearing of something like this. We don't know how
Mhm.
to sit in silence, or even that that's a way to this autonomy and agency that we so crave. The second thing that I
Oh,
don't hear you
before you
saying is,
before you go
okay,
on,
yeah, go ahead. Yes, please.
what you don't know is that's what you're allowed to do when you're in safety with me in session.
Hmm.
You were in silence because you were listening. In
Hmm.
those moments, that's the space that was created for you so you could actually think through and process whatever we were processing in that day. You were in silence.
That's real. Wow.
You were taking time to gain your autonomy back in that moment. Did you really feel this way or that way? And you had to sit in that in order to become aware. Is that correct? That
Hmm.
was your silent moments. That whole space of being in session was giving you space to actually be silent and allow one thing at a time and take control of that thing again.
That's so real, because, and we were just talking about this before the episode jumped off. The one thing that you would constantly ask me that I didn't know I needed. And so that this is beautiful because you're right. You're absolutely right. It was silence. You would ask me when you would see me get in my thoughts,
Mhm.
because it was running to and fro. You said, "Oh, tell me what you're thinking.
Mhm.
Say it. Get it out. Say it out loud."
Mhm.
I had never been given the space to be able to, because what I was concerned about is, well, if I say this out loud, I'm going to be painted this way or that way, or um, uh, it may not be the right thing I should be saying. Like, let me just come up with the right words. In that space, I could have cared less about the right words. You taught me to get it out of my head, to process it. And what I'm hearing now as a part two, for myself, but for the rest of us listening, is getting in silence with ourselves is just another form of that until we can get in
Mhm.
session. That is powerful. That is powerful. Wow. Okay. Second piece to what you were just saying is, I didn't hear you say, Jackie, I didn't hear you say, now that I'm aware, and that I know and that I've gotten with myself and I'm in silence.
Right.
Now this person needs to go change. What do I need to go tell them what they
Oh,
need to do? I heard you say, what does it say about me?
mm,
And what can I evolve or elevate or change? I'm a little bit confused by that. So please enlighten us on why, now that I've sat with myself, why doesn't this person need to now change?
yes. So the silence continues through your lifestyle.
Hmm.
Once I gain my identity, I become aware and I process the pain, and now I'm living it out. My life, well lived, teaches everybody around me how to respond to who I am. You don't have to tell anybody anything. Your spouse, the co-workers, the people you lead will come to understand who you are because you live it out loud. They're not words that you tell people how to treat you or be informed by you. It is a lifestyle that you live. You go in an office, I go in an office in the morning. If I am there well before 10 o'clock, I will close my door because until my coffee has kicked in by 10 o'clock, my door will remain closed. Listen, you have to know who you are and how you.
That's what you said. Right,
I
right.
I need that time. So what happens over time with people around you in the office? Her door is closed. 10
Hmm.
o'clock, I open my door wide.
Wow.
I am ready to receive. I'm ready to work through. Now, everybody doesn't have the opportunity, but because I know who I am and I
Hmm.
need this time to gain the emotional energy that's going to be required to work through the process of everybody in this room,
Hmm.
silence, door not open because I'm not open to you in this moment. I'm teaching you something. When my door is open, that means I've had coffee, I've walked through some things that's in me that
Right.
I need to walk through, and I am prepared to have you in my office.
Wow.
Able to engage you. You do the same thing in your home. Your kids know how to engage you and when to engage you.
That's real.
Kids
Yeah.
know when to walk away. You teach people through the life you live, not through the words that you say.
Wow. Wow. So this is not a how can I convince them? I've learned a new lingo. I've learned some terminology from Jackie.
Mhm.
I've learned my emotional brain and I've learned all these fancy words. And so now I don't get to just go tell my husband or my team member or even my clients. Well, I learned, but this is my emotional brain speaking right, right now. It is truly, as you said, through the life that I had that I'm living. That's powerful.
Yes, because what you're saying when you want to teach somebody is you want to control something. We don't have control over people. We cannot control. You have no power to control a person. You can only deal with yourself. You can only present yourself the way you need to present yourself, and they either receive it or they walk away. For instance, let's say your husband has a tendency to poke the bear, right? Because he's used to a particular response. Maybe you'll cook a meal quicker if he pokes the bear and says,
Right.
"Wow, where's my food?" When you begin to respond in silence or simple kiss on the cheek, and you continue to do what you're doing, he's going to learn a new way of entreating you. I've taught him
Hmm.
something without telling him anything.
Hmm.
That doesn't work here anymore. That's not going to get a response that you are looking for. Now I know and I'm aware of me. I don't have to be upset about you wanting whatever it is that you're wanting. I'm already prepared for it. You don't know
Hmm.
that because you hadn't seen that in me before, but I'm going to
Hmm.
show you now. And then after a while, two or three times of that, guess what? He won't do it again.
Right.
He knows how to respond. I'm not arguing with you. I'm not getting it on the drama stage, the drama triangle with you. I've already prepared myself for what I know I want to offer you. And now I know
Hmm.
how to respond to you. So now he knows how to respond to me differently.
Hmm. What this is a massive lesson in unlearning. And what this brings to my mind, because you called it what it is. If y'all don't know by this time, if you have watched every single episode up until this point, Jackie does not mince words. She says what she means, how she is right now that we are experiencing. That is how she is at every single corner that you hit her on. And I have admired that and I have loved that about her. the thing that you are calling out is a bigger cultural conversation as well.
Mhm.
When I remember when Facebook, and I've always said this, and anytime I've given a talk, I bring it up, but this is one little interesting phrase that says, "What's on your mind?" or "What are you thinking?"
Uh-huh.
Facebook prompts you. It is the most subtle,
Yeah.
most manipulative phrase
Mhm.
because we have been conditioned to literally say what's on our minds, to use our words to say. And so we have all these, people getting, all upset about
Mhm.
uh um the First Amendment and all these other things. Like they want to say what they want to say without any repercussions.
Mhm.
But the part under that you are calling out, the root of that is control.
Control.
I want to, if I say this, my goal and my mission and
Mhm.
my purpose is to control you. I just learned something new. I just picked up a new phrase. I just went on a retreat and gathered some new data. And
Mhm.
now I want to control you.
Right.
And until you fall in line, I'm going to keep saying these words and I'm going to keep saying it different ways. And what you are saying is this, you should be able to move without saying a word because it's the life that you are actually living.
That is.
Either you are living it or you are just speaking it.
Mm-hmm. That is absolutely.
Wow.
And then what you'll notice is people that you're called to support or help with the things that you've learned, they will begin to ask you, what's different?
Hmm.
And once a person asks you what's different or how can I be like this or do something that you've done, that's your opportunity to teach and use words.
Wow.
But in the immediate, it is all about you living it out in a way that they learn how to respond to you, how to care for you, or how to back away from you. All those things are true and important for a human being, especially a high achieving woman.
Right, right. Oh my goodness. That is a workshop lesson, everything in and of itself. Just learning, knowing the power and importance of sitting in silence,
Right.
practicing on listening for your heartbeat. I've never thought that. I know when I try to get silent and sit with myself, it is very loud. And I
Mhm.
feel like I have to be prepared or go do something first. But what you're saying is go with the intention to sit in silence. Let whatever thoughts, okay, great, but focus on
Mhm.
something that's fulfilling, that is affirming
Mhm.
to who you are, where you should be. That song, that
Mhm.
scripture, a phrase, something powerful that someone has said to you.
Right.
Choose. And once you are aware, now you have a choice. Let's go into the way that you diagnose, because I thought that you have a very unique way of approaching diagnosis, and it's through not what we think. It's not let's pull out the DSM and let's find out what's wrong with you,
Oh,
with your brain or with your behavior. But you started with the family of origin or the family of culture. You
yes.
you feel free to give me that word, but we talked about the mirror, finding help, touching the wound, staying in a relationship through the work. All of that was a beautiful walkthrough,
Mhm.
a way of diagnosing that I think we're just not used to. But as high achieving women, there is a tickle in our brain where we want to understand, I want to do something different, but where does this come from? Every time I try to do something different, I always fall back into something else because I believe as high achieving women, we do have this strong and high sense of duty to other people. And especially tag on again, that oldest daughter, we
Yeah.
have a strong desire. We can't just abandon and walk away. So you walked us through how all of this is just a mirror, and if a woman is listening right now and she's trying to figure out where she actually is on this journey, what are the signals that tell her which of these stages that she's in? Or maybe she hasn't even gotten a stage just yet, but talk us through some of that. Where how does she know where she actually is on this journey?
Well, it's difficult for her to know when she hasn't worked with someone.
Hmm.
The work requires that person, that mediator, the one that's going to come in and actually become aware. Well, you can be aware of something. Some things you have to become aware of, like I'm in pain, or I keep repeating the same process and things are not working out the way I think they should. Become aware of that there's a problem, there's an issue. You brought up family or culture. The reason diagnoses are really based on family or culture is just like you going to the doctor, especially as you get older, you get 40, you get 50 years old. The questions are usually phrased like this. Has anyone in your family had cancer?
Mm,
Has anyone in your family suffered a heart attack?
mm,
Is anyone in your family a diabetic? It's informing me of what's in your family or culture because possibly that's in your DNA also.
right.
Do you have anyone in your family that suffered from depression? Simple thing. That could be in your DNA, right? So once you get a hold of your family or culture information, my mom was, my dad was, I didn't know my mom or my dad, but my sister did. When those things are observed, you become aware of, oh, wow, I practice the same behaviors.
Mm,
Oh, I realize now I see my worldview is based on what my mom did. Well,
mm,
that's a problem because we are all individuals
mm,
and we all have our own purpose, and we've been called to something that's so much bigger than the picture we can initially see about our
right.
lives.
Right.
And so when we go back and look at that family culture, it gives us such great insight of possibilities. Not saying
Mm,
you are exactly like that, but there may be something in your emotional system that causes you to have pain over those particular situations, circumstances.
is it possible to not know what's going on with the family of culture and get to these other pieces, understanding the pain or touching the pain,
Yes,
get to some of these other stages? Because I
yes,
think one example that you gave was, about, someone who's been adopted, right?
that's it. That's it.
Who has no clue who that family is.
Hmm. Hmm.
Tell me a little bit about that there
Hmm.
are parts of this, which is why it sounds like it's important to speak with someone and be with someone in session who
Yes.
knows what they're doing. But yeah, tell me about how we can come in at other parts of this process, and it
Right,
doesn't necessarily
right,
have to be the family of
right.
culture.
Sometimes it takes a little longer when you've been adopted and you have no context of who you were.
Mm,
Then that takes a little bit longer because then we've got to become aware of who you are in a moment and what steps you remember so we can just deal with that. Because you've actually
mm,
developed some things just over the course of your life.
right.
You may not be identified that that came from my family culture, but you know it exists within you. So you have to be even more
Mm,
intentional
wow.
of being silent and focusing in on the thing that you can control, but not on the thing that's tried to control you.
Mm,
It's going to make you that much more intentional about trying to become aware of that thing that either pushes you or is tearing at you.
mm,
So once we deal with that, then we start working through of how you're handling it.
right.
Are you getting depressed, or do you find joy more than you find unrest?
Right.
So as we keep walking through that process, again, you really do need someone to support you in that,
Right.
to walk you through the process, to give you insight of the possibilities of why that's happening,
Right. Right.
even if you don't have a family or culture view to look at.
Right.
It's just a
So,
little bit more difficult.
right. So there's a space here
Hmm.
that we are confidently saying there is a world someone could go through it on their own,
Hmm.
but there are resources, there are
Yes,
spaces that we have walked through in other
absolutely.
episodes
Hmm.
that it is, in my opinion, just having gone through some of this, when you are someone who's just so used to picking up a book, finding research online, and just doing something, it could cause more damage than it could
Definitely.
actually help you because,
Yes.
um, you know, I've seen so many people, Jackie, self-diagnose.
Yes.
They saw some TikTok where somebody else is also
Yes.
dealing with something, and now all of a sudden there's this
Yes.
parasocial relationship where they also feel that, they feel that they also have the same thing because they have similar attributes.
Hmm.
But what it is, I hear you saying that, okay, maybe you don't know your family of culture, and that's okay. But what we're saying is, if you are someone who has become very aware that think who you are is starting to impact multiple parts of your life, it's very
Good.
important to find someone, even if it's for a few sessions, to
Hmm.
sit down and walk through this with you so that
Hmm.
you can break free because it's not going to get
Hmm.
better eventually. It's
Hmm.
just you're becoming more aware that it's
Hmm.
not getting better. And
Hmm.
it's just going to, in my opinion, continue to get worse. And I don't say that to be a pessimist. I say that
Hmm.
because a lot of these things start to converge.
Hmm.
But what would you say to that? Like the person who, well, do I actually need to go see somebody, but they're starting to see the cracks in the
Yeah.
foundation? Like,
Yeah.
can they
Yeah.
just keep going along
Yeah,
and
absolutely they
eventually, or
can. And
Mhm.
so we have to get to the word that makes so much sense to that is you can actually just continue to live out your life the way you're living, but you're missing something. You're going to miss that Zoe life. You're going to miss that
Hmm.
life that's fulfilled, and you get to actually practice all the goodness that the Lord has for you. If you just
Hmm.
continue down the path that you refuse to get any care, any help about that. That's like saying, hey, I have this disease. I can live with it. It won't kill me. I'm just practice some good behaviors and it'll be okay.
Hmm.
But I'll never be at my top self. But
Right,
I'll be okay. I'm not going to die from it.
right,
Right? And you're
right.
not. You're not going to die from remaining in your pain source. But are you really living a full Zoe life? A
Hmm.
full life with everything that you've been promised? No. So
Hmm.
that's a choice you get to make. I've had clients, two in particular that I'm remembering. They had family members, mothers in particular, who lost their lives to an addiction, right?
Hmm.
Early age. So they were children. Mom passes because an addiction. Let's just
Hmm.
say that's what that was. And so they began to live life. They turn 18, they turn 19, they start being in relationships and so interested in the relationships they always seem to get
Hmm.
into relationships with addicts, right? Someone that needs
Hmm.
them, someone they get to be the caregiver to, someone that's going to pull on them and drain everything from them. But this is the perfect relationship because I've got to care for this person.
Wow.
That person who does not become aware that this is a problem
Right.
live their entire life being that person instead of sitting down with someone and say, let me make you aware of something that you're not aware of. This practice behavior has a lot to do with your mother
Right.
and what you were not able to do for her. She left you as a kid unintentionally, but you don't understand that's abandonment issue in you. And so you save people so you can keep them around you, but they're
Wow.
not safe people to have around you. But you understand that relationship so well because for 8 or 9 years, that's what you
That's
live
what
with,
it
and
was.
that is
Right.
your framework. So you see that, and so you just
Yeah.
keep living this life, and then, people do what they do and live how they live, and you get a good job, and you do all these great things. But at the same time, you are consistently in pain and unaware of how to be in a healthy relationship. But when you do come, and so these two clients I'm talking about
Hmm.
who did
Hmm.
the hard work, and when I say over multiple years,
Hmm.
I mean multiple years,
Hmm.
they are able to get to healthy relationships, understand that they are no one's caregiver
Right.
unless they choose to be.
Hmm. There it is.
For
There's
a
the choice.
moment, it's a
Yeah.
choice for whatever moment they need to be, but they can still fully live their lives
Wow.
because the other person kicks in and cares for them also.
Wow.
When they become aware of that, life looks a lot different. It looks peaceful. It looks like I can really live this out totally and not just be overwhelmed by being just that caregiver piece.
Right.
And so you get to choose which one. You leave
That's
yourself bleeding, or you let someone help you heal from that
right.
wound.
Right. What you are, again, I'll just go back to the autonomy that, you're talking about this space of silence even gives us. There is a desire for agency, autonomy,
Mm,
to just be able to walk into chaos
mm,
and you be fully unmoved, for you
mm.
to be able to walk into dysfunction
I
and you
love it.
be not one feather is rustled.
I love it.
It is what you are, and again, I love that you're bringing us back to it's a choice. You now get to choose because
Mhm.
before you didn't get to choose. You were controlled by the turmoil and the chaos of the thoughts and the,
Absolutely.
well, I have to do
Yep.
this, and if I don't, and what we now know under that, which you called it what it was, which is it's control because I
Control.
benefit by be if I don't make them be who I need them to be in this relationship, then I lose, then I will be abandoned,
Ah,
will be
there you go.
rejected. I will be
There you
all
go.
these things that I don't want to deal with. And so
Mhm.
this is not what we are discussing is not for everyone because
No.
everyone will not receive it. What it is for and who it is for though, is for those who, especially those high achieving women who have
Mhm.
decided this cannot be the life
Mhm.
that I am meant to live. There has to be something more. And
Mm.
again,
I
we are
like that.
also not going the route that many of our colleagues, I know, Jack, many of our colleagues who are saying, go no contact, go,
Yes.
just cut everybody, go on an island somewhere
Mm.
and just exist
Mm.
because I mean, we went through COVID. We all saw what it meant for us to be
Mm.
secluded. So there is
That's right.
something in us, human, where we
That's
need
right.
to be around others.
We need
But
connection. Yes.
how do we be, and I say that with full ebonics, how do we
Yes.
be in
Yes.
relationship and around others without us losing ourselves in that process? And you're
Mm.
giving us the way and the framework to be
This
able
is
to
the
do
one.
that. What
That
thoughts
being
do you have
said,
about that? What comes to
um,
mind?
it is that full awareness of who you are and
Mm,
being content. I love that word, content in who you are. Whoever you're made to be, we need to find contentment in who we're made to be because our value of who we are is going to inundate someone's life. That's why we need
mm,
relationship. It
mm,
doesn't matter how small you believe you have value. And with that, being aware of that value, you bring that to someone else, not just
mm,
your favorite puppy in the house, not the cat. You need to bring that value to another human being. We were meant to be in relationship and connected. That's why prisons who keep you in a single space without sunlight and things like that, people don't survive mentally because we were
mm,
never meant to be secluded because we're unable to control everybody else. It is
mm,
about being aware of who you are so you don't need to even control yourself. You know what's best for you. When you know what's best for you, you're only going to do what's best for you, right?
wow.
I
Wow.
cannot continue to eat pizza at 9 o'clock at night if I am fully aware that this is not best for me. But the people who struggle with eating that pizza at 9 o'clock at night continuously need help to find the pain of why you
Wow.
keep processing that.
Wow. Wow.
And we need to become aware that there has to be a person in a space. Here's what I want to say: safe. So the reason we struggle with allowing people in our lives to help walk us through journeys is because people don't seem safe.
Yeah.
We some oftentimes see that we're not even safe in places that should be safe, like churches and things like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is a struggle. Totally understand that. But I would like to give someone an opportunity
Hmm.
to practice safety with me instead of just
Hmm.
staying out alone and never getting the help.
My
No
God.
judgment, no condescending thoughts about it. Just get this thing out of your head so we can process it long enough for you to be healthy enough to run on with your life, a Zoe type of life.
Wow. That what you are describing, that is what leadership looks like. That's
Yes.
why we keep saying high achieving women, you and I both being those women, on top of being oldest daughters,
Hmm.
there's we've grown calloused, we've grown hard
Hmm.
because we haven't felt that we've had those spaces,
Yes,
those safe.
absolutely.
Now we've had spaces, we've created
Right,
spaces if we needed
right.
to, but it was being create. We've created spaces or went into spaces out of pain, not because we knew there isn't, we feel there is not a space that we can feel safe to say the things that we
Mhm.
don't even know we need to say in order to get
Yes.
the release, the freedom, the contentment that we
Mhm.
so desire. So we try to control
Mhm.
and make it what we need it to be
Mhm.
for us to feel comfortable. But
Mhm.
we're doing it from a place that is not going to get us what we need. And there are people, amazing people like yourself,
Mhm.
who, because I'm everything that I'm saying, I'm speaking about into self, which is why
Mhm.
all of you who are listening, this was very selfish on my part, but Jackie was willing to come in and do it with me. But because this is what, when people ask me, when I go into these rooms and I say, I had to go to therapy. There was no other option or choice. I
Mhm.
had to go because I
Mhm.
was at a point where you told me you're a finite being wrestling with an infinite God. And every
Mhm.
time I've told that story, people, everybody wants to stop and peer in. Wait, what do you mean? What are you saying?
Mhm.
And the
Mhm.
women who get it and understand fully know I have reached my peak of every single part of life. And every time I get to this peak, I am more empty than I was the last four peaks. And she's decided I cannot go another climb. It is in us to climb because that's what how God has created us. It is in
Mhm.
us to climb. But she's saying, "No, Lord, I refuse to climb another
Mhm.
mountain until I get this figured out." But we try to debate and negotiate with him. Well, it has to look like this and it has to look like that. But when I came to you, it didn't look like anything that I was I wanted it to be.
No,
And it
no.
couldn't. And I'm thankful because you created that safe space for me
Mhm.
to do the work I had no clue I needed to do.
Exactly. And that we all must be aware of. It's not going to look like you think it's going
Mm,
to look. My
mm,
space didn't look like I thought it was going to look, but I used that space to become what I needed to be because both you and I feel that it's imperative that we give this space to someone else. I
mm.
know I'm called to allow this space for anybody who's willing to do the work.
Wow.
But you've got to be called to me to do the work because I'm very clear. I'm very clear, and I don't mince words. That's why I don't necessarily wrestle with the clinical side. You don't hear me use any
Mm.
clinical words because you've got to live this, and
Right,
not one clinical word or clinical definition is going to help you to walk out my door and live this in front of people.
right.
I've come to that conclusion. But it is my responsibility that God has given me this freedom. He's giving you that freedom that we give it to someone else. I don't get to hold
Mm,
on to what I've learned, what I have to acknowledge now is truth. I have to give it away. It is my
mm,
responsibility. And so it is my responsibility to make sure you're safe. It's my responsibility that you don't feel judged. It is my responsibility to walk with you as you process this thing that you're wrestling with.
mm, mm. As we wrap up, the women who have been with us these episodes, who have been tuned in, she's going to go back into that boardroom. She's going to
Mm,
go back into that mirror. She's going to go back as mom,
yes,
as a family member. She's going to go back into these spaces and she's going to be sitting with this, even in her own silence.
right.
She's going to be sitting with this because I know some powerful things were said that is really resonating with her.
Mhm.
But what is the one thing you want her to know? And what is one thing, because we just going to be honest, high achieving women, we need something to do as well. But
Right.
what is the one thing you want her to know? And what is the one thing you want her to do as
Yeah.
she goes back into these
Mhm.
spaces?
So the first thing I want her to do is create a space.
Mm,
I don't care if that space is her garage, if that space is literally a closet.
mm,
The secret closet is really real. You need a closet. You need a space, a chair. A space can be just a seat
mm,
that you sit on.
mm,
You need a space that allows you to be completely honest with yourself,
mm,
to take those moments when you're inundated with something. that is controlling you, create some silence around you, and then find the words, the voice that can control it
Mm.
so that you can become aware of why that thing was controlling you.
Mm.
That's the first thing.
Mm.
Second thing, I really need you to think through the process of finding someone that is a safe space for you to say the things that's in your head out loud.
Yeah.
Once you get it out of your head into the atmosphere, you don't have to own it anymore. It's out there. It's the thing that I
Mm.
thought about, it's the thing that I felt, not necessarily continue to feel, but
Right.
that's a process. So you need someone to process that with you. We don't get to live alone.
Right.
The scriptures talk about the one another verses. One
Mm.
another. We are helpers one to another.
Mm.
We have to look for that help. I don't care what that help looks like. If
Right.
it's the help that you need, that you feel safe, that you don't feel judged, that's the proper help, as long as it's not something that can harm you or someone that can bring you harm.
Mm. Mm.
Those are the things I would like to see them do.
Those are some powerful pieces, and let it not fall on deaf ears.
Mm.
Let the woman who has just heard what Jackie said, go and do something next. Don't just sit. Don't just
Yes.
hope that this is somehow going to change.
Mhm.
What we have uncovered, what we have dived into, is something beyond just you being aware. Everybody's
Mhm.
self-aware these days, but are
Yes.
you self-intelligent? Are you
Mm.
taking this awareness and are you getting freedom, or are you digging more of a hole down into that pain? 5 episodes ago, we started with family of origin. We walked through the mirror, finding help, touching the wound, staying in a relationship through the work. Today, Jackie named what we walked through. She gave us the question, the diagnostic, the picture of what waits on the other side, and your next step. If you were
Mhm.
waiting for permission to do this work, you now have it. If you're waiting for the language, you now have it. And if you were waiting for the right person, her name is Jackie. Jackie, thank you so much for being with
Yeah,
us. And I cannot wait for these next few episodes because we're not
absolutely.
we're not done.
We're not.